Before we can dig into the finer elements of responsive design, we really have to walk all the way back to the beginning theory of how we design for the web. And what you see in front of you right now is a basic wireframe of a typical page on the internet. It's got a header section at the top. It's got a navigation section at the top. Then it's got a 3-column layout, and then it has a footer. And this is a very common kind of presentation on the web. Sometimes it's got 2 columns, sometimes it's got 3 or 4, but this is a base. Here is a web page, the fundamental things that need to be there. And one of the comments that I often get asked, especially in my basic web design class, is, well, how big should I make an image, or how wide should I make a header, or how big should I make the page? And there really isn't an answer for that, because as we discussed in the last segment, you don't know what size screen people are going to be looking at your content from. It can range from 200 or 300 pixels up to a couple thousand pixels. So the answer to how wide should I make an image, or how big should I make the header or the footer, or how wide should I make the columns, there really isn't a single answer. And it makes it really difficult to give guidance into how wide to make something. And this has been a common issue for as long as there has been a graphical web available to people. And we're just now evolving to the point where there are systems being designed to help us to do that. And one of the challenges is, again, that you're likely to be accessed by a widescreen, by a tablet, or by a cell phone on your web page. So what we really have to do is we have to take this basic design, but we have to have 3 separate but related designs that are associated with it. One that would be appropriate for a full screen monitor, another that would be appropriate for a tablet type device, and another that would be appropriate for a handheld cell phone type of device. So when we start talking about responsive designs, we're really talking about how do we take a design and turn it into 3 separate but related design. And the way that we do that is we have to look at a fluid layout so that it can resize to meet the specifications of the viewport that it's being accessed by. But we also look at what is called a grid system. And what I have done is I have gone out and I have downloaded, I'm currently using InDesign, but there you can use any kind of design software that you want. And in fact, the place that that I would go, and let me show you something here quick. What I've done is I have downloaded a template for InDesign, and what this is a 12-column grid, and a 12 columns, and you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, a 12-column grid is a common way that people are moving towards designing for the web, and what it allows you to do is to simplify that question of how wide should I make it. So that if you're designing for a full screen, you've got these 12 columns. In between each of the 12 columns, there is a gutter or a space that can be that will sit between them to separate the separate ones. And so what you can start doing is changing that basic design. And I realize it's a little hard to see with the colors. I'll try to show you that better in a second. But this is that basic design. But when we come to this 12-column grid, the template in the background allows you to see what those columns are. That's what the pink is. So that's just a visual aid to allow you to start. But when we turn that off, you'll see that I have the same components here. I've got a header, I've got the navigation, I've got the left, center, and right columns, and then I have a footer, which are all stem from this same original design. But what the 12-column layout allows me to do, and you're not restricted to 12. A lot of people are using 16 and 24-column grids in order to give themselves more flexibility. But for the sake of simplicity, we're going to go with a 12-column grid just because it accomplishes everything and does it in a clean manner. But what this grid and template allows us to do is to lay out that same wireframe for a full screen with 12 columns. Now, when I go to the mobile, and I haven't completely redesigned this yet, you'll notice that I have gone to a separate document here. This is still using a 12-column grid, but what I want to do is I want to switch this to being designed for a tablet. And so just for visual purposes, I'm going to turn off that right now, and you'll see I still have the header, the navigation, left, center, and right, and footer. But I want to lose 4 of these columns because I'm going to do this. I'm going to switch in the tablet to an 8-column grid so that I'm only using 2/3 of that width, which is approximately what a tablet is going to do compared to a screen. So I've got these same components here. And what this allows me to do is take that same design that I had with the 12-column grid, and I'm going to change this to an 8-column grid. Rearrange it there a little bit. Here's my 8-column grid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize each of these elements so that it fits within the 8 columns. So if I was a InDesign guru, which I am not, I would take those off so that they weren't visually there, but I'm not, and so I'm just going to work with them visually on the page. But what I'm doing is I'm resizing the elements in my page. Now, I want to show you where I got this template before we go on too far. What I've done is I've gone to a website called github.com, and this is actually a set of templates that have been designed from the 960 grid system. And if you want to go out and read about the 960 grid system, they will explain to you the purpose and the reasoning behind it so that you can understand at that theoretical level. But what they have done is they have gone out and they have created a set of templates for different programs. And what I did is I downloaded the InDesign templates. So I went in here and I opened this up, and you'll see that there's InDesign templates for CS3, 4, and 5. I'm using CS6 at the moment, but I brought this in, and you'll notice that they have 24-column versions as well. So I've got this template, and I opened that in InDesign, and that's what gave me that background that allows me to see where those columns would sit. And what that allows me to do is to work within that grid system to resize my design before I ever start playing with the web. I can start resizing, or with HTML would be a more appropriate term. I can start resizing this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow my header and my navigation to the 8 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'll see that if I was to try and make these 3 columns fit into 8, first off, mathematically it doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is move my footer down to where it belongs. I'm going to make these a little shorter, just so that I can see it in my design. When we actually get to the web, they will expand to fit the size of the content. But I'm going to take this right column and I'm going to move it into the grid, but I'm going to let that take all 8 columns. So all I'm doing is using this grid, this template, as a way to allow me to visually create a layout that I can later replicate when I start doing my HTML and CSS. Bring my label over here with it. So now I've got my left and center columns sitting in here, and I apologize that the visuals are a little bit hard to see, but we've got our header here, We've got our navigation there. We've got our left, our center, and then I have dropped that right column down so that, because these 4 columns won't be accessible, I've dropped that third one down and I've expanded it to fill all 8 of the columns. And I've narrowed the footer as well so that I'm now using 8 columns instead of 12. Now I can go even further to design, and you'll notice I haven't changed any of the sections, the divs at all, except for in their sizes. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move it down to, now I'm designing in the 4 column grid, so we're only going to use 4 of the columns. So I'm going to do the same process, and I'm going to narrow this down so that I have a design that will work with this reduced column width. Now in this case, my page isn't tall enough, so I'm going to make these smaller just for visual purposes. Again, in the web it would expand to fit the size of the elements, the content within the elements. So these would resize to fit within the design. But I'm going to resize all 3 of these, and since they're natively 4 columns and we're going to 4 because they originally built them for 12 columns, I'm just going to move these down. Oops. So that they are in a native 4 column system. I'll move that footer down, and then I will move and you'll see from my skills here I'm not the world's best at this type of thing, but resize that down so that now when I narrow my footer down to 4 columns, I have not changed the structure of this web page. I still have the same divs: header, navigation, left, center, right, and footer. Only what I have done, oops, I had reduced it only to 5 columns. I've reduced that down to 4 columns and the gutters that are in between those columns, so that this would then be my layout for my handheld or cell phone type of access. So I'm still using the same design, or the same base design, but I'm reconfiguring that based upon the 12 columns system, so that when somebody accesses it from a full screen monitor, they're going to have a 12 screen layout. When they have access it from a tablet, they will have this 8 column layout, and when they access it from a mobile or cell phone, they will have this 4 column layout, and it will contain the same information. And so those 3 designs are all part of a single design. So it's the same design, the same structural basis from an information architecture standpoint. You've got the same document object model in all 3 versions of that, but it's going to have 3 different presentations based upon the viewport that is available at that point in time. And in the next video we will discuss how you do that.